Okay, so I thought I would show you the changes that I made to the full text indexes and the ability to change the analyzers. So I'll show you the feature, the changes in the user interface, and then I'll kind of give you an example of why this would actually matter to a customer, why they would want to be able to do this, and why some people have been asking for it, and then you'll also see why it would be a good thing to show at TechCon. So we're looking at the Chili Company database here, and I have some tables that have full text indexes on them. As you'll notice here, in case you hadn't seen, we do show multiple icons now for the status, and so we give a clear indication of the tables that have that are encrypted. This is an encrypted table here, and this is a table that has a full text index. So when you see the little lightning bolt, that means it's got a full text index on it. So this particular table here has an index that was already on it using the old format. So this is a legacy format index using the old way of handling the analyzers. For those who are not aware, the analyzer is basically a way of deciding how it's going to break down the values that it puts into the full text index and how it's going to treat them. So by default, when you use this Apache standard analyzer here, as you see, the analyzer will only index words. So it ignores punctuation, it ignores hyphens and underscores and asterisks and dollar signs and all of those different kinds of characters that when you're indexing just descriptions and those kinds of things, it doesn't matter usually. You're typically going to be searching for words, and so indexing only words makes sense. However, there are times, especially with our customers, when they're indexing part numbers and other things like that, phone numbers, something else where the punctuation or special characters actually has meaning to the value, and they want to be able to search on that. And so you need a different analyzer to do that. Previously, we had an analyzer box up here where you chose the analyzer for the table. And basically what it did then is it used that analyzer for all of the fields. But as you can imagine, there are cases, and it's not uncommon at all, where you might want multiple analyzers on your index. So you might want a description column to use a standard analyzer, but you might have a part number that has hyphens and special characters in it that you might want to use a different analyzer that can handle those. And you'll see here in a minute when I show you an example of how this works, just why that's so important. So anyway, in the user interface, the change that's occurred now is that's taken out there, the analyzer at the table level, and now you specify your analyzers at the individual column level. So we can go in here and select from the list of analyzers. If you've noticed the analyzers in the past, I used to show the full class name for the analyzer. Now for the ones that we have built in, I go ahead and just show a more human readable version of that so that we don't see the long package and class name there. However, you can put in your own custom one here. So you can put in your custom analyzer there. If that's part of your class path on the server, then you can put that in there as well. So the drop down lets you choose from the existing ones, or again, type in your own. Now let's come look at one where I made changes. So now that one, as I said, that pulled in that old format where all columns use the same analyzer, and it just displays it in a little bit different way now. It's totally backward compatible. And now let's look at the full text index on this other table that I have. And as you can see here, I have the value 1 is going to use the Apache standard analyzer. Value 2 is going to use one that I created called basis whitespace punctuation. I created this a while back. It handles various punctuation characters, and it also indexes the whitespace. So this meaning that a space value actually has meaning for that. As you can imagine, if you're trying to index words, you wouldn't want to include the space as part of the value. But again, there are cases where the space does matter and it's actually something meaningful to the value, and so we want to include that. So again, you can choose the type of analyzer for the field level. So you can imagine here why this is important. This might be a description here. this value 1, and let's say it's an item table where your description, you want it to be word-based. And then you might have a part number where it needs to include special characters and those kinds of things, and that's where you would use this other analyzer. So let's take a look at how this works. So if we come over to our search box here, let's see, let's limit that to the table that we're interested in. Okay, so I just said just a wildcard, give me all the values, and so it pulled up everything. So you can see here, these are all the rows that are in that table, well, all of the index values that are indexed. So value 1, if you recall, we used a standard analyzer. So let's say that I want to look for all of those values that had foo in the beginning, right? So, so you see there we have foo with an asterisk after it because foo is considered a word. Here you'll also notice the same thing. Foo comes up even though I did not include anything before it. It thinks it's a separate word because it ignored this hyphen character here. So you can see how the searching comes up a little odd if you're expecting these special characters to be accounted for. Now, notice, though, if I do an asterisk hyphen 8995 hyphen asterisk, somebody might expect it to come up with this record here because I said, hey, look at that, those special characters. But notice it brings up nothing, and that's because these characters are not indexed properly because it's using a different kind of analyzer. So now if you pull up our list again, notice we use that other analyzer for value 2. So now if I do that same thing where I do a hyphen 5309 hyphen, you'll notice it will pull up this as a matching record because it's including those. It has indexed this entire value as a single word, so to speak. Whereas in this case, it indexed it as 3 separate words because of the analyzer. So hopefully that makes sense there why it's important to be able to specify multiple types of analyzers for your index because you may want different columns to be treated in a little bit different way.